Greetings, everyone. It's my pleasure to present to you Preventing Boundaries in Online Education through Social Connectedness and a Collaborative Spirit. This is due in part to the Stanford University Society of Teaching of Psychology conference. However, the tools or resources that I share with you today in these PowerPoint presentations can be used in any classroom or online classroom. I hope you enjoy what I share today, and if you have any information or resources that you would like to share with me as well, I hope that you would do so. Now, many of our students, whenever they attend our online classes, I feel that it's important for them to feel as if they're a part of an actual traditional classroom. Therefore, many of these resources that I will share with you could be used to actually collaborate with your students and to also make them feel as if they're a part of an actual classroom, although it is distance education. In this first video, and I will continue to talk to you as I share the video. However, the video that I embedded gives an experience from the student's perspective of what they have to deal with day in and day out. Um, I don't want to bore you with the details, therefore I will fast forward throughout the video. However, I just thought that this was very clever. I really appreciate how the student goes through sharing what they go through as a student, an online student. They feel as if the instructor is pretty much informing them to read chapters. However, they don't involve the student in the day in, day out activities of what a classroom should share with students. And as I stated before, I don't want to bore you with the details of the video. However, if you continue to watch the video, it shows that every day that he comes into this classroom, his classroom, he's just instructed to read a chapter. There is no other information or collaboration involved other than that. Although it's important for our students to understand or be able to convey the concepts in terms that we share with them in the classroom, it's also important in order for them to um, have an experience, that is advantageous to them. It's also important that we be able to collaborate with them, make them feel as if they have an invested part of the classroom. And by doing that, I feel like we can extend certain resources or certain contacts with them to help them with that. In the next slide that I'll share, um, in order for students and instructors to have success in online classrooms, and as I stated before, a lot of these resources can also be used traditionally. However, what I like to research and what I like to implement in my own classrooms, because they're online classrooms, are resources that could allow me to connect with my students. However, all of these resources can be used interchangeably. Therefore, the student and the instructor success resources or lists, that I have shared, that I'm sharing here, could also be used in your classroom. A list here for student success is time management tips. That's very important given the online aspect that students learn from. And it's because some individuals believe that it takes more discipline to actually take an online class. I, however, believe that it takes more discipline to go to an actual classroom. However, students from this U.S. News education source actually states that limiting distractions, setting aside time, communicating with your professor, anytime that an assignment's going to be late, or there's some sickness or illness or anything that's going on in your life, it's better to communicate that with your instructor or your professor. And also create a calendar. List all the times where different assignments are due, so that when it comes time to actually work on those or submit those, you already have some idea of what you want to do with those different assignments. Instructor engagement details or a list for success from the instructor's perspective are the following 8, those that are listed here. And before mentioning those, I like to consider whether or not if I'm a guide on the side or sage on the stage, or a ghost as a host for my students. And a lot of times I don't ask the question per se. However, during the middle of our time as a chorus or as a class, I will ask, how do they like the class so far? What do they think of it? What do they think of the chorus? What do they think of the methods in which I use to teach? And I'll ask these same questions again when the course is about to end, just to see their perspective 2 different times. A lot of times their feedback that they give me will help me to be a better instructor, or will help me to understand if I'm actually a guide on the side, a sage on the stage, a ghost as a host, or all 3 intermingled. In any case, I believe we as instructors should use uh, high tech, high touch perspectives in the classroom in order to engage our students. And high touch is more important than high tech. However, the two working together, I believe, will make your class more engaging to your students. However, the reason why it's believed that high touch is more important than high tech is because high tech aspects tend to be a little less personable than being high touch. I will go over with you a little bit later high tech and high touch aspects of your class that you can implement. One, high touch is actually doing advising, weekly advising to your students, where you would actually email them a status of how they're doing in the class. A high tech aspect may be using poll everywhere in your classroom to better engage your students. You should establish a social presence. You should use technology intentionally. Using technology intentionally means to not only throw in different technology in your course just to make it seem like it's cool, but to use technology in order to help the students to better understand the terms and concepts that we're sharing with them. And I will share some of those resources with you later. The power of external resources. You should make expectations explicit, meaning make your instructions clear. What do you specifically expect the student to do with certain assignments that they need to submit? If you don't want to do a whole lot of hand holding, and hand holding will be actually sharing previous student examples, examples from previous students' assignments. If you don't want to share those with your students, then please try your best to convey in layman terms what you're expecting of them from the assignments. A lot of times I believe that the instructions are clear. They're clear to me because I know what I'm expecting of my students. However, they may not have a clear understanding of what the assignment is. You should have fun, playfulness, and you should expect to have fun, playfulness in your course. However, you should also be expecting the unexpected in your class. Therefore, if you're working with technology, just know that sometimes things don't pan out the way that they're supposed to. So try to have a backup plan, but something that's not busy work, but something that's going to engage your students. You should log in regularly and also have personal feedback for your students, of which I will share later with you. What is social connectedness and collaborative spirit? Social connectedness is the measure of how people come together and interact. And a collaborative spirit is the process of two or more people or organizations working together to realize shared goals. Now, some examples, as I stated before, that I would share with you, some examples of social connectedness, could be an interesting and engaging instructor profile, a welcome message to your students via announcements and personal email, incorporating a learning style inventory in your welcome message. During the first week of my course, I almost always include the learning style inventory. At first, I didn't understand that a learning style could help me to study better as a student. However, after high school and getting into college, I realized that there are certain ways that I could learn to study that could help me to better retain information. A lot of your students may not understand or know that there is a learning style that could help them to study more effectively as well. Therefore, I think that the learning style inventory is a wonderful icebreaker for you to use the very first day and or week of your course. And also it could help you to also get your lesson plan more, have a more engaging lesson plan for your students. I know I use my learning style inventory feedback from my students to do my lesson plans. And you should also have an ongoing advising message for your students, just to let them know every other week or every week what their current average is in the class. A lot of times students don't bother to check the grades. They just submit the assignments and they're done with it and they go forward. And then just before the class ends, they realize that they're failing the course and want to know why, because they've submitted all of their assignments. However, you've been submitting track changes with their assignments, letting them know what they could change about their assignment. Or if they're in an online course, they may have thought they submitted their assignment. However, it didn't go through completely. With them receiving an advising message from you, letting them know that they're failing or their averages are 35% or 85%, they can stay abreast of what they may need to do or what they may need to know in the course. These are all means of social connectedness. Now, collaborative spirit in the chorus could be sharing quotes or inspirations. I love reading those myself. I love any time that I see those in the signature blocks of emails, or my students may share one with me, or I may just see one posted somewhere. That makes a difference for me sometimes. And a lot of my students will send me an email and tell me that they really needed that quote that I sent them that particular day. You can incorporate real life events such as TED Talk video clips, or any video clips that you could get from YouTube. You can use those to help your students to understand terms and concepts in your course. You can also incorporate poll everywhere. Now, I believe that this would be a wonderful icebreaker also at the beginning of your course. You could actually create a poll for your students to answer, such as where are they located, what state are they from originally, or what state they live in currently. And they can post that, and you can actually provide that feedback for all of your students the first day of class, or sometime during that first week of class, because sometimes you may have late enrollment. So to give all of your students an opportunity to answer, you may want to share that with the feedback with the students on a Friday, as opposed to that Monday when class starts. Providing engaging feedback is also helpful, as I mentioned previously, with the ongoing advising messages. And I will share a slide with you regarding engaging feedback later. Now, the instructor profile. I have my instructor profile listed here, and it's really small, so you can't really read what it says. However, you may not be able to read what it says, but if you double click on your slide, it may come into bigger words, or you may be able to highlight it and copy it and paste it somewhere else. However, when I first open up with the profile, I mention a little bit about who I am, my credentials specifically, and also I go into a little more personable information or professional, stating where I've worked or what my background career experience is. And then lastly, I just end with what I like to do, just to let the students know that I am a real human being, and I do actually have hobbies that I like. I love watching television, I love traveling, and so forth and so on. This makes you an actual person, that the students may actually feel like they could contact, or they could feel relatable enough to where they could approach. That's why I think your profile is very important. Should be the first thing that your students see on the first day of class, just in case if it's somewhere where the assignments are not listed, because that's all that many of them may be interested in, is just getting the assignments in and getting them done, because so many of them are busy. You may want to make mention to them where your profile is, if they want to read up on you a little bit more, or in your welcome email to your students, you may want to attach your profile into your email. Either way, I think it's very important for you to convey to them that you are an actual person if you're teaching classes online, and that you are approachable, and your profile could convey that to your students. Um, I don't believe that this actual profile is on my homepage of Canvas. However, I do have a social psychology course set up on Canvas, and you're more than welcome to visit that page if you want to see more of the assignments that I post, or the way in which I present my profile. I believe that profile is included there. And that gives you a good idea of, what you could actually write on your own profile if you want your students to know that much about you, or simply just to get ideas of other assignments, real life assignments that you want to post to your own class. My welcome message to my students. I actually share the welcome message with my students twice. I post it as a message on my on the instructors page as an announcement, and I also provide this welcome message to my students in an email that I submit to them. I send an email to every single one of my students the first day or the first week of the course. And if this will play for us, it's only a couple of seconds long. Let's see if it'll play. It is on Screencast-O-Matic, and if it doesn't play for us, that's fine. And it doesn't want to play. That's okay. The learning style inventory, it's listed here, and you can find that at the link that's going to be in the reference section. There are two different learning style inventories. The education planner inventory is actually 10 questions long. There is another learning style inventory that is actually, I believe, 50 or 72 questions long. Both of them generate the same, usually they generate the same learning style. If you wanted to do a little experiment on that, you could actually take both of them yourself, just to determine whether or not if you want to use one or both. And I do have the link listed there. You could see it at the very bottom of the page, the link for the second learning style inventory. So the first one is education planner, and the second one there is right here, the personal psu.edu link. The advising messages that I share with my students are one, during the first three during the first 1 or 2 weeks of the course, a lot of your students may be getting adjusted. Therefore, I don't want to send alarming messages like you're failing or, where's your work or anything like that. What I'll usually send is just checking in. Please let me know if you have any questions about the course and or assignments. And this actually lets the student know I'm aware that they're not sending in any assignments. If they have any questions, they can send me an email back, and usually their email response will let me know what's going on with them. A lot of times they tell me they were just actually enrolled, or they just got their credentials to actually log in, or some of them just may be having technical difficulties and can't get into the classroom for whatever reason. However, they can receive their email. They might not be able to get to the work, but they can receive the email, and they send me an email back. In knowing this, I can work with them, especially if they get too far behind in the classroom. However, I like to send this just checking in email within the first 1 to 3 weeks of the course. Now, after the third week, that is where I start to let them know what their average is in the class. And it just may be an email for my students that are passing, letting them know you're doing a great job. Your current average is an 85%. Please let me know if you have any questions. A lot of them, as I stated before, may not check their grade. Therefore, knowing that they have this 85% may be a little bit alarming to them, because they may think that they actually have a 100 in the class or anything else. And with going back to check to see their grade and also their assignment submissions, they can let me know early on if there is an issue in the classroom. Now, for students that still have not submitted work or are still behind after week 3, I will send them an email, and the subject title will be "You Are Failing the Course. Here's a strategy for us to catch up," or "Here's what we can do." And then I provide them with a strategy of things that we can do to get caught up. The inspirations and quotes that I share weekly, as I shared with you earlier, I really like to read them myself. In sharing them with my students, I get to see them again, and I get inspired again by sharing them. It's not necessary for you to do, but I think that it brings, a certain moral to the class. I think it adds, it makes the student feel as if you really may care how their experience is in the chorus. For a lot of students, it makes you personable. And I think I've probably used that word a whole lot of times, that and convey. But however, it is very important that we as instructors make the online course experience as personable as possible. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of students that come in the first week, and the students will actually share with me that they don't like online classes. However, they've never taken an online class before. And what I'm believing their perspective is that they're coming to a machine, and that they're responsible for submitting all of their assignments to this machine, and they're not going to get any interaction from an actual person. And to them, that may be that may be a turnoff for them. Therefore, opening with a quote, opening with an icebreaker such as poll everywhere, or their learning style assessment results, will open up a line of communication day 1, week 1, for them to let them know that you are an actual person, and this class can actually be a personable experience for them. Now, I like to incorporate real life events in my course. I believe that This helps the student to really understand the terms and concepts that we share. I teach psychology, social psychology specifically, and now research methods. In these courses, our students are learning a lot of terms and concepts. And for me to know or to help them to understand that they really understand these terms and concepts, I like to share life events that could help them put it into perspective. Therefore, this movie clip is just a 40 inspirations movie clip that I may share week 2 or week 3, where I notice a lot of the students they hit the ground running in the chorus. And then around week 3 or 4, they start to slow down with logging in or submitting assignments. So this is a movie clip that I use with 40 different inspirations from different celebrities in movies. This particular video clip is an example of upward and downward social comparison. The two concepts that I realized that a lot of my students really don't understand based on the feedback that they give me from their assignments. Therefore, I use this clip to help them to understand, along with a few others. Poll Everywhere, I believe, I haven't implemented in my chorus. I've tried it in one chorus, and that was just an experimentation with it. However, I do plan to use it a lot more in my classes, specifically just during the first week of the chorus. However, I believe that Poll Everywhere is a wonderful icebreaker. However, it can also be a resource that you can use throughout your course, especially if you're teaching face-to-face or traditional classroom, a traditional chorus, to where you're facing your students every day. This just pretty much you could put in questions that you may ask ask them throughout the course, that could be on a quiz or could be on a final exam. And it would be up to them to remember that information or know, where you're going to be coming from as far as the chorus goes, or how you provide quizzes or final exams if you decide to do so. Engage in feedback. I actually have a SlideShare presentation on providing engaging feedback. This is something that I'm actually currently researching now. And if you have any information about providing engaging feedback to students, specifically online students, please share that information with me. I offer a few tips to provide efficient and effective feedback to students. One specific thing that I use is I use track changes the first 1 or 2 assignments with my students, just to give them an idea of what I'm looking for from their assignments. And a lot of times you can write it and you can tell it to them in your feedback along with their grade. However, they may not still fully understand what you're trying to tell them. Therefore, showing them in track changes, it just may be an aha moment for them, to where they say, oh, okay, well, that's what she's meaning by I should cite my resources this way, or I need to list my references this way, or, I didn't give enough information, and this is the type of information. Because usually when I provide a comment in the margin of a paper, I'll usually say that, did you mean to say such and such? Or we should state it as such. And then I'll say, what do you think? So, a lot of times I believe that showing the student what you're expecting of them says more and it does more for them than actually just typing it and providing it to them with their feedback, with their grade. Now, because I have so many papers I have to read, I wish I could provide track changes for every single assignment. However, I do not, but just to set the standard, I usually do it with the first one or two assignments. Each student does receive feedback from every single assignment that they submit to me, along with a grading rubric that I provide to them. However, as I stated, I wish that I could do track changes for every assignment, but I don't. However, after the first two assignments, if you're continuously repeating yourself with your student, um, it's possible that they just may not be understanding what you're trying to convey. And at that time, it may be a time for you to help them to actually understand that it's not a bad thing for them to have a tutor. However, a tutor may be able to provide them with a greater understanding of the concept of, the assignments that they're doing so that they can receive better grades. And here are my references here. I'm at the end. You're probably saying finally. In any case, this PowerPoint presentation will be provided also on my SlideShare after the conference on July 13th and 14th. I will provide that for you. In addition to the information I just provided to you, I have also made up or created a weapons of mass instruction PowerPoint presentation. And in this, I provide a list of sources, resources, along with demonstrations for a few of them regarding resources that you could actually use in your own course. The reason for this, or the purpose for this presentation, is to help to build a community of learners for our students, make learning relevant for them, let students know that we care about them, incorporate active involvement for all of our students, and make learning fun. That's very important, making learning fun. And here, I'm just going to breeze through these slides here. But it's just giving you a general idea on how we can make learning work better for our students. And the first couple of slides here, the resources that I share to enhance lectures would be PowerPoint presentations. Now in 2013, of which PowerPoint 2013, you can actually record lectures and embed them in your slides if you'd like. The recording device is actually included with the PowerPoint 2013, excuse me. You could also use AuthorPoint, Prezi, SlideShare, and Screencast-O-Matic, which happens to be another one of my favorite recording devices that I'd like to use in my courses. Here you're provided a brief demonstration of embedding or adding a YouTube video to your PowerPoint presentation. And for whatever reason, the slide does not want to come up, but that's okay. We're going to go to the next. Let's go back. I do believe I can add it now for you. And we'll just breeze through it because at this moment, I don't know how long my presentation is, but this just gives you a general idea. And like I said, I just want to give you a brief overview. Don't want to take up too much of your time. AuthorPoint is another another resource that you could actually use to present your presentations. Prezi is also another. We do have a video, yay, that will play, yay. Along with Present Me is also another resource. However, Present Me is not free. Prezi is. And she says it's a little bit more stimulating. So I believe that's all you really need to hear to pique your attention. If you are actually interested in Prezi, I don't use that currently because I have the use of PowerPoint presentations. Um, and also I use Screencast-O-Matic, where I use a lot of my PowerPoint presentations. I record those with Screencast-O-Matic, and then I embed those into my course. So those two resources are actually working pretty well for me right now, knock on wood. Therefore, that's the reason why I have not tried Prezi as of yet. However, I would. However, it is something that I would probably use sometime in the future. As I stated before, all of the resources, or the majority of resources that I'm sharing with you right now, are free, and that is why I created this this presentation, just to share those with you, just in case if you notice any that you could actually use to engage your students in your course. You're more than welcome to use them. SlideShare. I'm going to actually share my SlideShare page with you after this presentation, and you can get a general idea of how many are the different topics that are out there. There is like a plethora of different topics that are listed. However, many of them are very helpful topics, and they're all listed on SlideShare. And because I'm actually going to share my SlideShare page with you, I will bypass this. I will bypass the demonstration. Excuse me. Screencast-O-Matic, another one of my best friends, along with SlideShare and PowerPoint presentation. Screencast-O-Matic does exactly what this PowerPoint presentation is doing, or PowerPoint 2013 recording does. It just simply records your screen as you present information to your audience. That's another favorite free resource of mine. Now, resources that you can use for collaboration or discussion forum in your course is Piazza, Prulu, and also Whiteboard. And there are, here's an example of a discussion forum that I have in Canvas. This is one for Piazza. And I want to say that we can get a demonstration. I believe I do have one embedded. I don't. Okay. Or it's acting like it doesn't want to come up. I apologize for that. However, it's another collaboration tool that you can use, or a tool that you can use for creating similar to VoiceThread. Really and truly, that the depending on when you want to log in, I'm not sure if you could do live or synchronous timing of having discussion with your students, but if it is one tool or resource that does allow that, I think it's a wonderful tool or resource. Actually, it's used for discussions as well amongst you and your students. Do we have okay, we have a demonstration here. Yay. Okay, so here's a quick demonstration. Yeah. Okay, we're going to just stop that there. It is a demonstration that you can look at later. Prulu stores and organizes and presents your class Q&A in simple, intuitive interface equipped with a smart search engine, and this is also free. Technically, it just stores your discussion that you have, you and your students. I believe that your TAs, if you have those, their information can also be stored there as well. What it operates as is a collaboration portal or a place where you could all go and have discussion. And as I stated before, it is free. We have another Prelude demonstration. However, I don't think I'm going to attempt to try to click on it. And I'm looking at my time here and I'm way over what I should be over. We have whiteboard, similar to the other discussion boards. Technically, you can take this and you can teach with it if you need to draw on the board. Say, for instance, I think this would be wonderful for a math class if you're teaching math, or if you need to go over any types of theories that need to be broken down. I think whiteboard is excellent. I'm not sure if you can record it or not. The past three resources that I have shared with you, I have not used. However, I think they're really cool to use in the course if you need resources that are particular about engaging your students. I think they're wonderful resources to use. Here's a whiteboard demonstration. I'm not going to click on anything. I'm going to see what's going to happen with this clip. Hopefully it's not too long. 2 minutes is a tad bit too long. Around the world every day. Therefore, I'm going to skip. You can share those. Share those. And really quickly, that was whiteboard. And now we have educational materials. There is a long list of them. Such resources that are supplemental. Don't consider those to actually be everyday use. All of these are not everyday use. However, they could be supplemental materials that you could use in your course. Merlot 2 is an excellent one. I love TED Ed. Use a lot of the video clips there. Poll Everywhere I've mentioned already. Flat World Knowledge textbooks are also wonderful. There, I will show that full demonstration of Flat World Knowledge textbooks. I believe that it's a wonderful resource because as an instructor, if you advocate to use Flat World Knowledge textbooks, you could actually order your put your chapters in the order in which you want to teach them. Your students could either order e-textbook or they could order a physical textbook. Although I consider myself to be a bit savvy with technology, I still like having an actual textbook instead of looking at an e-textbook. I don't know what it is. It just may be a paper thing with me, but Flat World Knowledge gives you that option. And that's why I'm going to take the time to play that full demonstration video for you, which I think is only a minute long. And we're already over anyway, so what does it really matter? Snack Tools, Sparklex, Noteflight, Writing House, Creative Book Builder, Dippity, Course Lab, EduBlogs, and Scratch. All of these are wonderful resources to implement in your course. Merlot 2, I absolutely love because any type of peer review article, not any, but majority peer review articles can be found here. But in addition to peer reviewed articles, you could also find demonstrations that you can use in your course. You could find labs even, or any type of demonstration or assignment can be found in Merlot 2 for you to use as a supplemental resource in your course. I have done, these aren't actual demonstrations that you can click on. However, it's a demonstration of just the page, how you can go into Merlot 2 from the, and I should have wrote here what that link was, but I believe it's browse materials or browse all materials, and it brings us to a page to where we can search for a certain material. And in this, I was looking for social psychology material, social psychology or research methods material. And it brings us to a page of where they have one certain type of demonstration or assignment that I could share with my chorus. If you are interested in learning about the materials that are listed there. Oh, okay. I have a video. Good. Good, good. Okay, I'm going to share this briefly with you. As I said, I think I'm already over in time. And let's skip ahead a little bit. And that's an intro to Merlot. And as I stated before, I certainly love that resource. It's a wonderful one to implement into your chorus. TED Ed. Many of you probably already have heard of TED Ed, TED Talk, TEDx, um, where a lot of different experts or individuals that are advocates or those that just want to make a difference on certain topics or events actually talk about that topic or event. I take several of the video clips that they have, and I implement those into, or I put those into my chorus. One such video is the video on first impressions, and this is usually used, I believe, week 1 or 2 in my social psychology chorus. And just a snippet of the video is what I'm going to play for you. I think that's a wonderful video on conveying first impressions to students. That is a term that we go over, a concept that we go over, and that video could help them to understand what the term or the concept actually means. Here we have Poll Everywhere, of which we discussed earlier. This is a demonstration video. If you wanted to get a general idea of how to implement it into your course or set up an account. And here we have Flat World Knowledge textbooks. And here, as an instructor, you could actually adopt a book that you're interested in. Adopting that book actually means that you would receive it for free, a desk copy for free. They Flat World Knowledge does not obligate you to anything. However, if you do teach your class based on that textbook, Flat World Knowledge usually likes to just have a little information about the course that you're going to teach. For example, the name of the course, what semester you plan to teach the course, and how many students you're going to have during that course. And at this moment, I will share the last video with you. I do have a few more resources. However, I will not share any more video demonstrations after this one. Oops. I'm so sorry. Okay. And that's flat world knowledge in a nutshell. Next, we have snack tools, of which this comprises of several different tools that you could use or implement into your course. And once again, I've provided a snack tools demonstration just in case if you would like to view that at a later time. This demonstration is of how to create a flip book. This particular resource may be wonderful for English classes. Sparklex is a free electronic lab notebook, wonderful for any courses that have labs involved. Not only science classes, because there are actually psychology courses that also have labs that need to be completed as well. There is a Sparklex demonstration that you could view here if you wanted to. Note flight is used for music. So this would be wonderful for music class. We'd already had the drawing going on with whiteboard, and also we had another resource. I can't quite remember it right now, but those would apply to art. However, Note flight would apply to any music course. Here is a demonstration of Note flight if you needed one. Writing House is wonderful for helping the students to see and understand how to cite as well as list their references. I really love Writing House more so than bibme.org. Both of the resources do the same thing. However, Writing House does not have an actual demonstration video out there, not that I have seen. However, BibMe does. And you could actually use this BibMe video during your first week, in your first week announcement, if you needed to actually help the students understand how to cite and list references. And we have Creative Book Builder, another wonderful resource for an English course if need be. Deputy is wonderful for creating timelines, and I actually have a timeline that I have created for both my general and social psychology courses, excuse me, and also for my community organizing and development course. So they're wonderful to use in your courses as well. And here's a deputy demonstration. We have Course Lab. That is wonderful. I have not used it. However, I have read up on what it's wonderful for using for, and it's for information system and computer science students. actually used to write code if need be. And there's a course lab demonstration. EduBlogs. These are also wonderful for, I believe you could use EduBlogs in almost any course, especially those that require you to write assignments. However, I believe this resource would be specifically geared more towards English or composition courses. However, as I stated, you could use this in almost any course where students need to submit writing assignments. Here's a demonstration of EduBlogs. We have Quizlet. And just in case if you have students, a few students that may have um, anxiety, test anxiety, you could actually, I'm not sure if you could go and create your own type of quiz questions. However, if you could with this particular resource, as I stated, many of the resources that I have shared with you are free and I think that they're cool. That's why they made my list. However, I have not used all of them, but I'm just stating purposes that you could implement many of these resources for in your course. And this one such resource I think would be wonderful if you could create your own quiz for students that may have test anxiety, or just to give the students a general idea of what questions to look out for on final exams or midterms. And here we have a demonstration of Quizlet. And we have BadgeStat. Actually, this resource I am fighting to try to add in my online courses. I believe that rewarding the students, a lot of you may be believing that their grade is their reward. However, I believe that if they're awarded badges and other students actually see how many badges certain students have, that will motivate them to actually do more in the course. So I'm believing that this particular resource will serve as a wonderful motivator for our students. They would actually, how I would have it implemented if I could in the course is the student would actually have to go to a link, go to the links in order, and that they don't have to do the assignments in order. However, if there is an announcement that's posted there, the student would have to look at the announcement first. um, they would have to go to each assignment that is due for that week. And if there is a presentation or a lecture that's listed, they would actually have to look at or click on that link for that presentation or that lecture. And once they go to all of those links, then they would be awarded a badge for just that week for doing those set of tasks. They may not read everything they're supposed to read. They may not do everything they're supposed to do. However, in order to get that badge, they would have to look at all of that information at least. And in doing so, I believe that that would engage a lot of the students to complete assignments. It may not get all of them, but the majority at least. However, as I stated before, what this particular resource would be used for is a motivation factor. EdTech. EdTech lists several different technology resources that we could actually use in our course. And they show you a demonstration of how you can implement many of them, or they provide information on a lot of the different resources. And here is a wonderful website that lists several different resources that you could use in your course. There's a plethora of them listed here. A few of them may not be free. However, I thought that I would share them, share the website with you just in case if you were interested in looking through the website for a few of the resources that you could share in your course. Here we have about 4 or 5 pages of references. As I stated before, you will be able to see this presentation from my slide share, of which I am about to share with you. We have here my slideshare page, and you can find it at www.slideshare.net/Coach Felicia B. And here are a list of all of my presentations that I've created. I believe a total of 5. Lastly, we have my LinkedIn page, and here I do list a few of my SlideShare, the presentations that I've shared on SlideShare. I do list them here sometimes. Um, this is another means for you to contact me if you need to, if you have any questions, or if you actually have any information, if you run across any resources that you would like to share with me. I like to create presentations at least every other year if possible. However, I'm always looking forward to seeing what other research or information others have to share with me. Therefore, I am going to end the Preventing Boundaries in Online Education through Social Connectedness and a Collaborative Spirit. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you've heard or seen some information that could be useful or helpful to you in your own course. Thank you for reviewing my presentation, and I wish you the best.